Amen, amen, amen. So, Tuesday I called Pastor to see how she was doing. And she said, oh yeah, I got something to talk to you about. So anytime she says she got something to talk to you about, you know, things start running through your head like, okay, what did I do? Okay, what did I say? Okay, no. Did I do? No? Okay. So I was good this week. So I was like, well, yes, what is it? And she said, I wanted to know if you wanted to preach the word Sunday. It's Tuesday. I said, well, you know what? When you ask God and you say, God, send me, I'll go. When the opportunity is presented to you, you have to go. So even though it was Tuesday, and I only had a few days, I said, you know what? Yes, ma'am, I'll do it. And I was supposed to, because on Wednesday, she came in here and she started talking about David. And so that is what the Lord had given me as well. And I told her that on Wednesday. I said, well, I guess I was in the vein. I was in the spirit. Because that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about David and Goliath. And so if I had to title this, it would be, if there's a Goliath in front of you, that means there's a David inside of you. Okay, somebody, maybe you'll catch it this time. If there's a Goliath in front of you, that means there's a David inside of you. And so I'll be coming from the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 17, verses 2 through 11, verse 16, verse 40, verses 45 through 50. So I won't ask you to stand as we do to give reverence to God's word, because I'll be going back and forth. So before I actually start to talk about the whole battle between David and Goliath, some of you may say, well, Goliath. So Goliath, and using it as an analogy, is giants. Giants are things that we come up against. Our problems, our circumstances, our hurts, our habits, our hang-ups, anything that you may be dealing with in your life right now today. So just a little bit about who David was during this time was he was the youngest of 8 sons. He was from the tribe of Judah. He was a musician, a shepherd, a warrior, after God's own heart, and he was Saul's armor bearer. So just a few things that led up to this battle of defeat. I got to put that on there, because it was a battle of defeat. So there was a conversation in 1 Samuel chapter 15 between Samuel and Saul. Because at the time, Saul was king over Israel. And so God had given Samuel these things to do, a things to do list. I'm going to put it in our terms. A things to do list for Saul. So he sent him, tell Saul, this is what he needs to do. So Saul was supposed to destroy the Amalekites. They're sinners. He's supposed to destroy everything that they had. I mean everything. Anything standing. The kids, it didn't matter. He was supposed to destroy everything. So, did Saul follow through with that? No, he did not. And because of this, it caused God to reject him as king. So, in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 16 through 19, it reads, Then Samuel said to Saul, Be quiet, and I will tell you what the Lord said to me last night. And he said to him, Speak on. So Samuel said, When you were little, in your own eyes, were you not head of the tribes of Israel? And did not the Lord anoint you king over Israel? Now the Lord sent you on a mission and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed. Why then did you not obey the voice of the Lord? So how many times do we not obey the voice of the Lord? And then there's consequences. And we don't always like to face the consequences, but there's always going to be a consequence for every decision that we make, whether it's good or bad. So it's just best that we just follow the commands of the Lord. And so at that moment, this is when Saul begins to try to explain his story as to why he did what he did and didn't destroy everybody. And what he did was kept the good stuff. And that's not what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to destroy it all. And so, Samuel was like, yo, dude, since you didn't do what he said, guess what? You're not king. He's not accepting you as king anymore. So you threw. You threw. So at this time, Samuel's like, I'm not coming here to talk to you anymore. It's just over. You're done. So, even though that was what Samuel did, he still kind of grieved that anyway. That relationship, I should say. So then it brings me to Samuel chapter 16. Now here we got the conversation between Samuel and the Lord. So the Lord yo, Samuel, how long you gonna sit around and grieve Saul who didn't do what I told him to do? I gave him clear instructions. He didn't do it. So how long you gonna sit here and mourn about that? Okay, because I got work to do. I need a king over Israel. So I need you to get it together. So the Lord sends Samuel to Jesse, and Jesse is David's father. So he says, I need you to bring your 7 sons because the Lord needs a king. So here's Samuel. Here's Jesse. He's coming. He has his 7 sons. And the way I read it, they looked the part. They looked good on the outside. But the Lord said, no. Not one of them. So, I can just imagine, Samuel, Lord, none of them? This is all I got. So Samuel, they're like, wait a minute, there's one more. No, so Samuel asked Jesse, is there one more? So he says, oh yeah, I do have one more. The youngest, he's David. But David is keeping the sheep. Because, he's shepherd over the sheep. So he says, basically, I'll bring him. Because I need to see him too. Because these other 7 didn't work for me. So he goes out. He gets David. Brings David. And immediately, when the Lord saw David, he said, oh yeah, that's it. That's him. That's the one I need. That one right there. So he immediately blesses him, and the anointing is upon David. And David is king. So now this brings me to 1 Samuel chapter 17. Because now we're going to get into how David had to fight Goliath. So in chapter 17, verses 2 through 11, it reads, And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and they encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up the battle array against the Philistines. The Philistines stood on a mountain on one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, and with a valley between them. And a champion went out from the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath, from Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of a coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had bronze armor on his legs, and bronze javelin between his shoulders. Now the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his iron spearhead weighed 600 shekels. And a shield bearer with before him. Then he stood and cried out to the armies of Israel and said to them, Why have you come to line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And you are the servant of Saul? Choose a man for yourself and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines saying, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistines, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now, let me just describe a little bit what all that was that he was wearing, Goliath. So he stood about 6'9". He wore that bronze helmet. The coat of mail was glitter, so he was blinged out. Bronze on his legs, the bronze javelin, the spearhead, and all of that. Now, mind you, this coat weighed 126 pounds.
Come on, talk about it.
So, as we would say, Goliath was suited and booted. He was ready.
Amen.
He ready. I'm ready to go. What? What we doing?
Yeah.
I do this day and night. It don't matter. I'm ready.
Right.
Yes.
So he got cocky.
Yeah.
As you heard, he said, why have you come out to line up for battle?
Yeah.
Like, for what? I'm already going to win.
Amen.
Why y'all here? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Why y'all here? But then it also says that they were dismayed and greatly afraid.
Yeah.
Sometimes we become dismayed, and sometimes we become afraid of the things that we have to face. But don't ever lose your courage. Because you serve a God who's almighty and omnipresent and omnipotent. He's everywhere at all times. So don't ever become dismayed or don't ever lose your courage. And afraid, God tells us in 2 Timothy, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. Just that alone, he told me I had some power. So if I got some power, I'm ready to use it. I don't know about you, but I'm using the power that God has given me. So Goliath is like, whoever wants to challenge me, come on, come forth. Because I'm ready. And so Saul and Israel are afraid. They scared.
Come on.
Because this is a man that wins his battles. He's totally cocky about it. I'm going to win.
Yes.
He's taunting them.
Yes.
And Israel and Saul are afraid.
Yes.
So sometimes when we got more bills than money, sometimes we get afraid.
Yes.
We got circumstances that we don't know how we're going to come out of it.
Yes.
Sometimes we get afraid.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my, okay. Let me get back. So this is what's going on. So this goes on for about 40 days.
Yes.
So finally, David gets wind and his dad gets wind of this because David is back in Bethlehem tending to his sheep. So David's father sends him, go. And when you go, take these items with you and see about your brothers because the brothers was also there in battle.
Yes.
And so David goes, he hears Goliath and his boastful self making threats and taunting Israel. So David, hey, I'll fight.
Yes.
Right.
That's right.
Come on.
Yes. Who are you?
It's me.
Yes.
I'm the one that's going to do it.
Yes.
And David, was like, and I dare him to insult the living God.
Amen.
Because I got God on my side. I don't know who Goliath got, but I got God on my side.
Yes.
And so Saul was afraid for David.
Yeah.
And he thought, like, David, Goliath is somebody, he eat wars for breakfast.
Right.
Like, this boy was raised fighting.
Yes.
Like, this, I don't think this is what you really want, David.
Right.
Like, no. Not good. Did you see how tall he was?
Right.
Yes.
And it don't seem like David was too tall, according to the Bible.
Yeah.
But you got 6'9",
Yes.
and then you got 4'9". I don't know how tall David was, but
Right.
now can we just talk about it?
Amen.
We don't really have to fight, do we? But David like, I don't care. Because giants do fall. I don't care.
They sure do.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
So, okay, so David like, whatever I gotta do. So he tells Saul that I'm not afraid because I've had to sometimes fight when the lion or the bear came and took the lamb out of the flock.
Yeah.
I've had to kill bears and lions. So in other words, this giant doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
The same God that delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear is the same God that will deliver me from the hand of the Philistine.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So Saul says, all right, you seem like you got it all together. So go ahead. So Saul started to clothe David though, with all the bronze and the armor, and David got all that stuff on and was like, I can't even move. I can't even move with this. Take it off.
Take it off.
I ain't had no practice with it. Take it off.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Right.
So then we go into 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 40. Hold on, let me get there.
That's all right.
Verses 40 through 45. No, verses 40 through 44. Then he took his staff in his hand, and he chose for himself 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag in a pouch, which he had, and his sling was in his hand. And he drew near to the Philistines. So the Philistines came and began drawing near to David, and the man who bore the shield went before him. And when the Philistines looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was only a youth, ruddy and good looking. So the Philistine said to David, am I a dog, that you come to me with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds and the air and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, with a spear, and with a javelin, but I come to you with the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defiled. The day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will strike you and take your head from you. And this day I will give the carcasses of the camp of the Philistines to the birds of the air and the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is God in Israel. Then all this assembled shall know that the Lord does not save with the sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. So let me, just so I can make it plain for everybody. I'm a visual learner, and I'm also an educator, and I like to show. So I'm going to show you what David had.
Stick. That's what he had. That's what he had.
Come on.
Yeah.
In his little pouch.
Yes.
Now we remember what Goliath had on, right?
Yeah.
He got a sword, a spearhead. He got everything but a machete.
That's right.
But this David came like, this is all I need.
That's it.
So you can just imagine Philistines looking at him like,
What's up?
dude, you about to die.
Yes.
Off with your head.
That's right.
But David's confident
Yes, he is.
because he knows the Lord.
Yes,
David knows the Lord, and David knows that without him he won't fail.
That's right. Jesus.
So David takes out. Now I can only imagine they were probably different sizes.
Yes.
And David is confident, but I'm gonna probably pick the biggest one in the bag though,
Right.
just because I am. But the Lord is with me, so I ain't mad.
That's right.
And that's all David did.
Come on.
That's right.
He shot one shot.
One shot.
My God. One.
Come on.
One shot.
Yes. One.
And it hit him smack dead in the middle of the forehead, where it starts making an imprint.
That's right.
Sunk in his head.
Yes.
One shot.
One shot.
Somebody is one prayer away from their destiny today. One shot.
Yes. One. Yes.
Just one.
One.
doesn't matter whatever you're facing.
Yes.
And this week in praying, Shanice, the Lord put me on your heart because I know that you face some giants.
Yes.
But I want you to know that God is able. And He hears every prayer that you send up. He catches and bottles every tear that you cry. And the things that you've gone through, your kids won't have to go through that. Because, honey, you're breaking cycles. You're breaking generational curses. And God, you're going to come out as pure gold. Oh, my God. Thank you, Jesus. Somebody this week was on the verge of giving up, and they said, I'm going to give that God one more chance. Just know that He hears you. He hears every prayer. Every time you feel discouraged, know that He's there. Every time you lose hope, know that He's there. He's fighting on your behalf. There's no giant too big for God. And you don't have to tell God about your giants. You tell your giants about your God. Hallelujah, because He's Jehovah Nissi. He's your Lord and banner. He's Jehovah Jireh. He's your provider. He's Jehovah Rapha. He's your healer, oh God, right now in the name of Jesus. Don't you ever become discouraged. Oh, believe I've had some dark days. When my mother lived here, I've had some dark days. But I had to get on my knees and begin to pray and say, Lord, I still believe you. I still trust you. I still love you. I'll never doubt you, oh God, no matter what my way seemed. When it was dark and it was dreary and I couldn't even see my purpose no more. But I knew that God was still there. I knew that God was still able. I knew that God was still keeping me. I knew that He was still walking with me. I knew that He was fighting my battles on my behalf, even when I didn't see it. Oh my God. Don't you get discouraged. Remember how David had was a slingshot and a one boulder. Don't you get discouraged. Don't you get discouraged. He's going to be your peace. Even when there's chaos going all around you. Oh, I had to tell those giants that I am a child of the God. I am a friend of God. I am a believer and I believe His reports. Oh, in the name of Jesus. Don't you let them giants scare you. Don't you let them giants cause your courage to fall. Don't you let them giants get in the way of what God is doing for you. Sometimes we have to walk through those situations because it's not for you, it's for somebody else. And I had to learn that. My situation is not for me, it was for somebody else. Because when my mother died, there were so many other friends that lost their parents. And I said, oh my God. God did that because I needed to tell these people that there's still a God. And He still sits high and looks down low. And He still loves you no matter what. Oh my God. And so if there's a Goliath in you,